A very good morning, dear students. Now let us start our social science class. Already in previous classes we started the chapter for major landforms, and I think all of you know which are the landforms. The landforms are mountain, plateau, plains, rivers, and the desert. And in previous classes we discussed what is the mountain, the plateaus, plains, and the rivers. And in today's class we will discuss about the desert. I think all of you have seen the desert and all. And what is the desert? The desert is a vast piece of land. It is covered with the sand. It is called the desert. The large piece of land, it is covered with the sand. It is called the desert. And again we can see it has an extreme type of climate. The desert, it is having the extreme type of climate. And because of the extreme type of climate condition and all, there we can see the limited plants and animals it is found in that areas. Because of the extreme climate we can see only few plants and the animals. Then this is the desert. Once again we can say what is the desert. It is a large piece of land. It is covered with the sand. It is called the desert, and again it is having the extreme type of climate. And next we can see the features of desert. When we are looking the features of desert, the first it is saying the desert, it is experiencing extreme climate. Already I told that the desert, it is experiencing the extreme climate, and the days are very hot and the nights are cold in these areas. In the desert areas, the days it will be very hot and the night it will be cold. And next point we can see the desert are extremely dry. There is very little rainfall in desert areas and all. It is having only the little rainfall, and the places it will be extremely dry. And the next point we can see the sandstorms. It is common in the desert, and as the wind blow, the sand collect from the one place to another place and form the sand dunes. We can see when the wind it is flowing, according to the wind direction, the sand also it is flowing and making the sand dunes. And we can see the sand dunes are like a hill, small hills of the sand. When according to the flowing of the wind, the sand also it is flowing through the wind and making the sand dunes, and the sand dunes are the hills, the small hills. And they change their place when the directions of wind changes, and if the wind it is changing the direction, the sand dunes also it is changing and making in other places. According to the wind, the sand dunes it is changing and it is making the sand dunes are the hill, like a small hill it is making. It is coming all the sand together and making the sand dunes. And next point we can see the desert plants include the cacti and the date palms. In desert areas and all we can see the plants, it is the cacti and the date palms. These plants we can find out in the desert. And next it is the oases are small water pools that spring up at some places in the desert. The oasis, it is some water pools. In desert only it is some places there we can find some water pools type, that is called the oasis, and in desert areas some places we can find these water pools. And again the date palms grow around an oasis, and this oasis around that the date palms it is growing, and the oasis it is a small like a water pool. It is called the oasis. It is we can find in the desert. And the next we can see the desert are usually located in the western part of the continent. The desert are usually it is we can find in the western part of the continent. Some famous deserts are Sahara in Africa, and the Thar desert in India, and the Great Sandy desert in Australia, and the Patagonia in South America. These are the some famous desert we can see in the world. And in today's class we discuss about the desert. I think all of you understood what is the desert. The desert are the large piece of land. It is covered with the sand. It is called the desert, and we can see in desert and all it is extremely the climate, it is having the extreme type of climate. And again we have seen the features of desert. There it is having the extreme type of climate, and the only it is having the little rainfall. And again we have seen the sand dunes and all, according to the wind, when how the wind flowing, according to that the sand also it is making the sand dunes. And again we have seen the oasis, it is a water pool, and near to the water pool the date palm sand it is growing. And again we have seen some famous desert in the world. So in this fourth chapter we have discussed about the mountain. These are the landforms. We discussed the landforms about the mountain and the plateaus, the plains, the rivers and the desert.